What up, though? This is Red Quran, and you're watching Streams. This is episode 7, I believe. 7. I didn't really know what I was going to talk about. I kind of had this topic on my mind all week. I kind of wanted to talk about my life or my career as an engineer and what that's like for people that might not understand. If you are here for the first time, welcome. If you are here for the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth time, or the seventh time if you watched every episode, welcome back. Hit that like and the subscribe for whatever reason. I need you to subscribe because I need you to know when I drop things. But I need you to like it so that other people can see my videos. That's very important to me. I would appreciate that. I would appreciate that so much. But no, I've been, every week I kind of just toil in my mind about what it is that I'll talk about every week. And this week I think I wanted to talk about my life as an engineer. I don't really have, I got notes here. You know how I do. I don't really know exactly how I'm going to talk about this. I don't have a particular format, but I did take a bunch of notes of things that I wanted to cover. And this will give maybe some of my clients an insight into why I don't jump when you tell me to jump and like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I won't even say engineering. I'll say customer service in general is like a tough thing to do because it requires so much of you. Like, you have to kind of sacrifice yourself and your well-being and not your well-being, but your mental, you have to sacrifice your time and you have to give yourself to people in a way. It's service, and I don't have a problem with that. I actually enjoy that. I like that aspect of what I do, being able to help people, achieve their creative, artistic goals and being able to, get what's in their mind out and being able to help people, being able to make people's lives easier. I like that. I think that's I think that's the value that I bring to the table as far as me being in the service industry. I like that. I like the fact that I can help people do things. I like the fact that I can be the bridge between your ideas and the world. You know what I'm saying? I think that's a very valuable position to be in. It almost makes me like a key component to the community, quote unquote, but I think that's a very important role to play, but it comes with so many other layers that I had never considered. I had never worked in service. Technically I did with one of my jobs, I've never been a waiter. I've never worked at fast food. I've never, done anything where I was doing house calls or cleaning people's homes or nothing like that. I don't know what it's like to have to deal with people. All of my jobs growing up were manual labor jobs where I was essentially, the only thing that I ever had to do was really get along with my coworker, my partner, whatever it might have been, So I never really was in the field of service and having to deal with all these different personalities and what that brings with it and how that complicates your day, any given day. Anybody that's worked fast food or anybody that's worked in a restaurant or anybody that's worked, detailing cars or whatever it might be, washing cars, you have to come across people and deal with customers. And essentially it's different than dealing with your coworker because the dynamic is different. It's like you're working for somebody that's paying you to do what they say. So it's like a lot of customers might lord over you with that knowledge in their minds that you supposed to do what I tell you to do because I'm paying you to. And it changes the dynamic. I had never dealt with that until doing the studio thing. And I won't necessarily say that I'm bad at it or nothing because I actually think the type of person that I am, it works for me. I enjoy being useful, but I'm also extremely introverted and I don't really like people like that. I really don't like talking that much. I don't like dealing with people. I don't like listening to people. I do have a slight problem with authority, which is why I'm doing this, because I don't like being told what to do by people that I think are not better than me. You know what I'm saying? That was my main issue with my last job. It wasn't really the work. It was the people and the fact that I was, I kind of felt like a slave eventually. That's not necessarily how I feel with this, but I'm just saying Like, I do have kind of a slight problem with authority. And it's not a big problem. Like, I don't, I can listen and do things, but to a certain extent, at some point, it's like I don't really like being told what to do like that. And with the studio thing, there's a balance to that because I do get told what to do, but I also work for myself and I've created this boundary with my clients. Like, I am working for you, but like, if you're coming to me, then you're coming to me because of what I possess and what I bring to the table. So you got to kind of let me be what I am, or otherwise, you should just go to another studio. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I got some notes, so I'm gonna just kind of run down the notes, and this is not going to be organized in any particular way. I guess the most logical thing to do though would be to start with my story and getting into engineering in the first place. I've told this story many times. I don't know if I told it on one of the episodes of this show, but I know I've talked about it many times. I don't remember, bro. I told this story many times. Videos on my Instagram, my podcast. I've told it to people in person in here. I've told it to people plenty different ways and avenues, but I don't care. I think my story is pretty interesting. But music wise, I started out as a producer. I was really young. I was like 11, 12 years old. I had my cousin had a computer, started producing. I had my mom buy me a computer, then I started producing like every day at home. That computer's sitting right here. That computer's over 20 years old. Or it is 20. Yeah, it's over 20 years old. Um, I started producing every day, right? And I never knew pretty much anything about music. I didn't have any background in music, didn't have any prior knowledge, never took any classes, never really did it professionally, nothing like that. I just started making beats as a hobby, and that was my introduction into the world of music. I was just into production. Didn't know how to play piano, none of that. As I started producing over the years, it was just something I would do after school or something I would do, it's like a healthy way, a healthy outlet. But it obviously, it's pretty self-explanatory. Like, you're getting into music, it kind of exposes you to the world of music, and my knowledge increased. I started learning different avenues and different things. And I remember stumbling upon like the culture of studios and like the different roles that these people that work in the studio play. And I remember learning, like, hearing the word engineer. And I remember the first time I'd ever heard that term, I didn't have a clue what that meant. Like, because in my, the word engineer usually means something, you're inventing something, or you're creating a way for something to work efficiently, or you're building highways, or you're building roads, like in civil engineers and stuff like that. Like, when you hear the word engineer, it's almost like you assume that means they're either working on something, building something, inventing something, whatever it is, something like that. So when I heard the word engineer in terms of music, I didn't even know what that was. And then I, get online and I start reading and getting on forums and interacting with people and learning things. And you learn that the engineer he's integral in a way that he makes the music possible, but he's not necessarily the creative bone, or so I thought. He's not necessarily a creative force in the process of making music. He's just an engineer in the sense that he gets you from point A to B. He knows how to make everything work, which is what, I started understanding why it's called an engineer, because when you think about the term engineer and everything else, it's like someone who streamlines a process or makes something more efficient or makes something work or makes something click. You know what I'm saying? So it makes sense now that I'm learning what that means. But I never was interested in being that. Never. Never. I didn't really know why or how you would be that. Like, how do you just become the person that just controls the boards? Like, how do you even get to that point? Never was interested in that. All I wanted to do was produce. As time went on, I got more and more frustrated with the idea of producing for people, because I learned eventually that, like, people like my production. People still ask me about getting beats from me and stuff to this day. Every few weeks almost, people ask me about beats. And I don't even make beats anymore for real. But people know me for that. But what I learned over time is that the type of production that I make is really only for me. Not to say that there are not people that fit on my production and that like my production, like I said, but it's really just for me, bro. Like it's it's a very niche kind of sound, I guess I'm trying to say. My particular production. It's very dark and it's not like my shit is weird, like where it's like totally unheard of or something like that. I'm not trying to say it's that unique, but my production kind of only fits a certain type of aesthetic that I think most people are not going for, unfortunately. You know, it wasn't what I aimed for. I just make the music that I like, and that's what it ends up, becoming. I make music honestly. I produce honestly. I produce things from the standpoint of who I am and what I like, you know. And I got frustrated over time. Like I didn't like the fact that it was so hard for me to like get people to adopt my sound. I got frustrated with the fact that like most people really didn't understand my vision the way that I presented it, which is cool. It doesn't always have to be my vision. Sometimes, an artist can present an idea or a vision that you might not have thought of, and that's fine too. I do appreciate that part of producing because somebody could give you an idea you never would have thought of. Cool. But I started falling out of love with it, and it started happening fast because for anybody that knew me back in the mid 2000s, late 2000s, early 2000s even, how I was like involved in production, my life was consumed by it. I spent all day on eBay trying to find ways to get things that I needed for cheap, whether it be my guitar. I have a guitar sitting in the booth behind me that I literally bought for $1. Only thing I had to pay, it was like a whole eBay seller page that sold guitars for $1. Now before this, I'm like, how am I going to afford a guitar? I'm only 14. I don't got no money. We got on eBay, found a place that sold guitars for $1, ordered it. I found a cheap little keyboard for maybe $80, $100, a little cheap MIDI keyboard. Not MIDI keyboard, it was an actual keyboard with sounds in it, but it had a MIDI function. But I use it as a MIDI keyboard. And like, my life was consumed by it, is my point. I was like always trying to find new things to use. And then like early 2010s, like 2012, 2011, I started like getting into live instrumentation. I have like a triangle, I have a kalimba, I have a tambourine, and I have like some like percussion that I started adding to my production. Like, so what I'm explaining is there was like a ramp up. I was like getting really deep into production. And then I ran into um my homeboys, Harden and Tez. We started a group called Voltron, and then we changed that to VO for copyright reasons. And we started rapping. We got albums and stuff and plenty songs on the internet to this day on Bandcamp, SoundCloud, whatever. A lot of it was on CD. Hold on. This right here is an album that me and my man's Harden, by the time it was just really me and him in the group, we made this. This is a VO project. The name of the project is the Care Package 2. I don't know if you can read that, but the Care Package 2. I ran into these two niggas. I was in this mode where I was like, you know what? Ain't nobody gonna hand me no opportunity, so I'm gonna create it. I was like, I'm gonna make a compilation album of all my production, and I'm gonna get different rappers on it. But the bad part about that idea was that I didn't know nobody in the early 2010s. I was outside a little bit and I used to run into people, but I didn't know how to build relationships back then. I didn't know how to talk to people. I didn't know how to network very well. I was very quiet and shy and anti. I ran into these two niggas on the internet, or I ran into Harden in the studio on some happenstance shit. I was in the studio with D. Rick. He had brought me to a studio on the east side. We was down there, and then Harden was sitting on the couch. My man C. Harden. We talked in the studio session a little bit, and then we ended up keeping in touch. And ever since then, we've been in touch. That was, 11, 12 years ago? Something like that. And when I got this idea to do this compilation album, it was after I had met him, right? So I was like, well, shit, I don't really know that many rappers, but I do know Harden. And I actually found Tez through my homeboy Brandon, which is a videographer. I hit him up like, bro, you know any rappers that I could like link with and work with? And he was like, I know somebody named Tez who rap. He sent me some of his music and I listened to it. I'm like, oh, this nigga cold. Little light-skinned nigga, man. I hit him up, hit them both up. And I'm like, man, can y'all rap on this beat for me? It was a beat that I made. I ended up calling it Voltron, which is how we ended up coming up with the name of the group. I ended up naming the song, the beat Voltron, had them rap over it. I wrote a hook to it. And I'm like, I'm about to just do like some Dr. Dre shit where I make a album full of my production. I might do some writing and rapping on it too, but I want mostly it to be about my production with other rappers featured on it. But I didn't know nobody. So I ended up rapping way more than I expected to. So I got into rapping. 2012, 2011-ish, 2012, somewhere in there. I started rapping more out of necessity because I didn't have no rappers in my life. I didn't know nobody. I knew D-Rick. I had him get on the song. And then we ended up being in the studio every week, it seemed like. Every other weekend. We'd be in the studio for 4-hour sessions, 6-hour session, like every week. Me, Tez, and Harden. And then we just kind of became a group. You know, I had a lot of things going on around me at that time. I was like trying to like rally all my friends that were musically inclined together to like make this little collective. But it ended up just being me, Harden, and Tez, and then we kind of just stuck together for years. We started making music for years and years. And we go into the studio and we sinking money into the studio. It's $50 an hour at a time where I only made $12 an hour. It's very expensive, $13 an hour. You know, $50 an hour for a studio session back then was a lot for somebody only making $12, $13 an hour. So we was going in there dumping money into the studio. And eventually, my engineer at the time was like, I'm about to open up a facility, like a big studio, and it's going to be multiple rooms and multiple engineers. He was like, if you want to, you can work there. Now, mind you, like I had a musical knowledge, so when I would go to the studio, me and the engineer, I would be able to communicate certain things to him because I knew so much about music. I just didn't understand it from an engineering standpoint. So it was like he peeped that I like knew certain things. I was like, I had an ear and I had like a knowledge for it, right? And he peeped that. So when he had the idea to start building a studio, a bigger studio, and hiring engineers, he considered me. He said, you know, if you want to work for me, you know, you want to work at the studio, all you got to do is learn Pro Tools. I don't really even need you to know how to mix or none of that. I just need you to know how to use Pro Tools. So I said, say less. Say less. Right? I immediately went home, researched Pro Tools, how to get it, how much does it cost, looking up videos on how to use it. Pro Tools was $500 at the time. Like I said, I was only making $12, $13 an hour. I was not doing that well, you know, financially. I'm not saying I was doing bad. I'm just saying I was young. So I wasn't making a lot of money at the time, you know. But I'm like, $500 for anything is a lot to me at the time. You know. So I'm like, how am I going to get this program that's $500? And I got to pay rent and take care of myself. I hit my mom up. I'm like, Ma, I got an opportunity to work at this studio with this guy that I know. You know, I don't know how I'm gonna get this program, but I need it. I need to learn it so that when the opportunity does arrive, I'll be prepared for it. She was like, okay, I'll go half with you on it. I'm like, wow. You know, that blew my mind. I still be thinking about that all the time. Like she went half with me on my dream. She sent me $250 and I went and bought Pro Tools, downloaded it. This is Pro Tools 10. I started practicing. But what I didn't know was that this would pull me in a direction of getting into engineering. I didn't know that. I didn't expect that. I was just, I I was getting the program just to like as a lick. I wanted to like what I mean is I was just going to be recording. I didn't think I was going to learn how to mix and like really get into this. It was just a lick. It was like an opportunity to work because he told me like you don't really have to learn how to do nothing. I just need you to learn how to use the software, the program. Just learn how to use it. Just the basics. How do you record? How do you edit? How do you undo? How do you fix this? How do you know? He was like, that's all I need you to know how to do. I didn't think I would get so entrenched in it. I didn't think I would be this interested in it. Right? So like I said, I downloaded the program and now I got it at home. And what I realized was like, well, shit, I can record us at home. If I get me a decent mic, I could save money on the studio. Like it kind of turned into a financial, responsible thing to do. Like, shit, we can record our songs at the crib if I get a decent mic and we just had an engineer mix it. We at least do our rough draft so when we go into the studio, we'll be more efficient with our time. Like we'll record the whole song here, take pieces of it to the studio and redo what we need to redo. And we'll make better use of our time, you know what I'm saying? And that turned into me being a producer / engineer. When my homeboys would come over, excuse me, and we would make our music at the crib, I started realizing like I don't really need to go to the studio. If I learn, it's like I'm getting better at recording. I was terrible in the beginning. I understand that. And this is not to say this is my first experience with recording, because before I had Pro Tools, I had Cool Edit and I had Adobe Audition, which was a recording software way back then. It was very bare bones, but it still got the job done. So I knew how to record, but I wasn't that good at it. I wasn't that fast. I wasn't that, I didn't know all the terms and the terminology and stuff. Like I didn't know that. So Pro Tools was a step in the world of recording and engineering in a way that I had never experienced. So once I got my hands on it, I'm like, wow, it's really this simple to like get a decent sounding recording. I don't know how to mix. I'm terrible at this, but at least I can get a decent sounding recording and like, I can just experiment with the recording and get it to sound decent. I know what type of person I am when it comes to music, especially, is that when I set my mind on something, I'm gonna figure it out. I'm proud of myself in that regard. I'm really good at that. Like when I decide to try something, it's almost nothing that will stop me from being good at it. I'm like a jack of all trades, master of none type of guy. I'm good at a lot of things. I'm good with my hands, good at engineering. I can make beats. I can rap. I know how to work on my car. I know how to, do carpentry a little bit. I'm a little good with tools. I play video games. I do a lot of things. I've always been that way, and I like that about myself. Jack of all trades, master of none. That's who I have been, and this, that opportunity when the engineer told me he was going to build a studio, that led me into getting Pro Tools, and then Pro Tools taught me that you can do this, and then I started doing it for personal use. It was like I want to record my songs without having to spend $200 in the studio. Let me just do that. I was already savvy with music anyway. It was already something that I did every day. So why not just learn this side of it? That was my thinking, So I started doing that. And now here we are, 10 years later, 11 years later, with my experience with Pro Tools at least, 20 years in music, I really do this now. So that's my origins. I never intended to do this. It was really a mistake or an accident, not a mistake. It was an accident. It was something that I just stumbled into, and I'm really grateful for that. Now, for anybody wondering, the opportunity with that engineer in that bigger studio never happened. that engineer is still working in the same studio he was working in back then. And I don't know why, but I think I asked at one point and he said something about it just not really working out. They never really found a spot, and it was a few things he said. But the opportunity never really happened. And I was disappointed by that because I was really looking forward to the opportunity to like be on the ground level with that studio and like really be an engineer in there. But whatever, whatever happens, happens. If it was meant to be, it would have happened. But that was how I got into engineering. It wasn't my intentions, right? So here I am, knee deep, shoulder deep, up to my neck in this life. There's no turning back. This is what I do for a living now. Something that I didn't even intend to do is now my main source of income and the only thing that I do. You know what I'm saying? Uh now that I'm in this life, I found that it has its own frustrations and caveats about it, just like any job or career would. I remember being hungry, and a lot of times I have to remind myself of that time when I was begging for opportunities to record people and didn't have anybody to record. All I had was two homeboys and a couple beats to use, and I didn't have a network. Now I literally have a client list that is mad long. These are just some of my clients here. Like, I'm sorry, my phone was off the screen. I don't even know if you'll be able to see this. Let me lower the brightness for the sake of the video. But like, I don't know if you can see this, but like, this is a client list of people that I've worked with over the last 2 years alone. And there's people that's not on this list. There's people that precede this list. But that's beside the point right now. I got this network now. And a lot of times I'll be feeling about this engineering thing like, bro, this shit is like, sometimes this shit is annoying. Sometimes it's hard work. Sometimes it's like, I be feeling like I want to quit this shit. But I have to remind myself of the position that I'm in and where I came from, where I didn't have this opportunity and I didn't know how to get here, and that's what keeps me going. I just have to keep myself on track. Like, the frustrations are just part of the job. It's part of the gig. Get used to that, suck that shit up and get over it. But I'm a detail some of the things, right? So my day-to-day is really random. I don't really know what my week will be like any given week. I don't know if I'll have 2 sessions or have 1 session or have 10 sessions. I don't know if I'll make $50 or if I'll make $700 in a week. I don't know if I don't know what any given week is. Working for yourself that's just the nature of working for yourself. You really have no idea what happens day to day because your destiny is in your hands. What you do is based on what you get. If you go fishing, you don't catch no fish, you don't eat no fish. That's what working for yourself is, So every week is different. I don't know what I'll do. I got sessions coming up this weekend, but I don't even know if they're guaranteed. I don't know what I'll be doing. I don't know who I'll be working with any given week. It's all random. And I don't work a whole lot. A lot of days I don't do any engineering, any recording, I mean. Some days I'm just mixing. Some days I'm working on my own music. Some days I'm working on edits for people. Or some days I'm doing clean versions of songs. And it's a toss-up. So that leads me to my first point. It really was a toss-up. Like, I remember a point in time where I had no clients. I had like 3, 4 clients at total. And they would only come once a month, once a week maybe. And they would only spend $60 back when I used to charge $30 an hour. They'd get 2 hours, maybe 3 hours, type stuff. And it was a toss-up as far as like knowing your steady work, your steady income. It's still a toss-up, but I make much more than I used to make. But it's really a toss-up because y'all niggas unreliable, bro. Niggas be canceling. I be canceling too, you know. And I cancel when I need to. I cancel when I can't get here. I cancel when I'm mentally unable to do the job, and I cancel when I'm physically unable to be here, when I got kids and stuff, I have responsibility that I take priority over, making music. That's my kids are the world to me. So if something pops up with my kids, I'll cancel. But you know what I mean, niggas, especially back a few years ago when I first started in here. You know how many niggas book sessions and then just never show up? Not cancel. Niggas book sessions and just don't come. And now I'm sitting here looking stupid. Mind you, I done drove all the way across town to come here. I done set my day aside for this session, told my baby mama I can't do this, I can't do that, left my kids at home, show up to the studio, I'm 30 minutes early, an hour early, waiting for a client that just don't come. You know how frustrating that is and how many times that's happened to me? Dozens and dozens of times, maybe hundreds of times. I've had clients just not show up. And that was something that blew my mind in the beginning. Getting into any field and doing anything when you're working for yourself, like getting into any career, you learn the lay of the land. You learn how it works. I've come to expect that now. And I have fail safes in place for that. But in the beginning, I'm like, why would you just not come? But I learned it's because niggas don't like music as much as they say they do or they think they do. Y'all niggas don't like music. Y'all niggas like the optics of making music. A lot of people, not everybody. And I can tell the difference when I get into a room with a client, whether or not they really love music or they just like having something to post on Instagram or they just like the image of being a rapper or they like the fun of being in the studio, but they have no idea what they're doing. And that's cool with me too. Some people just like the studio like they like playing basketball. You don't want to go to the NBA, you just like basketball. Same with music. Some people just like making music because making music feels good. But they don't necessarily like music. They just like making music. They like the Instagrammable moments of being in this booth rapping and your homeboy recording you. That's a thing. And it's, I'm not judging you for that. If that's what you like, that's what you like. Excuse me. I wish I could get an Evian or however you pronounce this. I think it's Evian or Evian or however you say it. Wish I could get a sponsorship, man. I drink one of these like every episode. This is like the only water that I drink now. Come on, man. Let me get that sponsor. But no, I'm just playing. But, well, I'm not playing. If I can manifest that, then I'll gladly take that. But anyway, bro. Some people just like the feeling of being in the studio. They don't even care about music. And I learned that niggas just be really like psyching themselves up to go in the studio because they either seen somebody else do it and now they want to do it or whatever the case. Who knows? But niggas don't be liking music as much as they think or as much as they say that they like music. They don't. And it's painfully obvious to me as the engineer. I've had so many people cancel. So what do you think that makes me feel like as an engineer going forward? Why would I want to, it's like when I engage with artists now, when I engage with potential clients and bookings now, I have this stigma, like, not a stigma, what's the word? Like I'm jaded a little bit. Because it's like, I'm not about to be excited for this session. Like, I don't know what certain people expect, but I felt like in some of my interactions with like talking to clients about booking and stuff, they be like kind of like turned off by the fact that I'm not excited to work with them. But it's like after I've been doing this for I don't know how many years and dealing with so many clients, like why would I be excited every time? This is just everyday shit to me, I don't have to be excited to work with you every time. Either you're going to come or you're not, And that's also why I deal with people with this skepticism because it's like, I don't know if you're really going to come. I had a girl hit me up recently. It was like 7 months ago. She hit me up. It was a whole spiel. Like, I got this many songs to do, and I'm so excited. I can't wait to get in the studio. Oh man, I can't wait. I can't wait. I finally found an engineer that I like, and I can't wait. Right? This is all in my DMs on my Babylon Studios Detroit page. And the night before, she like, what's the address? I'm bringing my sisters with me. Is that cool? I'm like, yeah, you can bring your sisters. She like, I don't want to be by myself in the studio. And this is kind of my first time. This whole thing, right? The day comes, she says something early in the day like, we still on for such and such time, right? Like, yep. And she just didn't show up at all. She didn't call. She just didn't show up. So after seeing that for so many times, why do you think I would still be excited about this? I've had people cheat me out of money. There was this one girl that I was working with when I was very new to this studio 4 years ago, almost 5 years ago. I was looking for opportunities and new clients. There was this girl on an Instagram video that I post from somebody else, like a mutual friend, had posted this person, right? And I ended up following her because, I like whatever she posted or whatever, like a song or a video or something. And I ended up following her. And then after following her, I seen she put up something either in her story or her just regular post where she was talking about losing her entire album just like a week or a couple days, like a week before it was set to release. Now, she said this like, I lost my whole album. Like, it was lost in like a damaged hard drive is what she told me. So I hit her up. I'm like, opportunity, for a person looking for opportunity, looking to grow, you jump on things. If you see somebody that needs something, you feel the need. You find a way to provide that service to them because it's needed. They're clearly needed. So she says she lost all her songs. My mind started turning. I hit her up. I'm new. I don't have no clients. I don't really have no skin in the game for real. I'm going to throw myself at this opportunity to solve her problem. Yo, I see you lost your album. I got a studio, brand new. I'm new to this. I'm looking for clients. I just want to work with you. I'm not going to charge you a whole lot. I'll charge you super low rates. But come record your album again with me. Let's get it done. She said, okay, oh my God, I can't believe, thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity, right? So we talk a couple days leading up to this situation, to the session. She ends up coming to the studio, and we lock in all day, like 12 hours, 13, 14 hours, all day. We in the studio, something like that, like 8 hours, something long like that. And we re-record every song she needed to re-record. We did a little rough mix and edits and all kind of stuff. Like we built her album up back from nothing almost to done, right? She come a second day. The second day she comes for like 3-4 hours. And that day we was really just finalizing mixes. And I was not that good at mixing back then, admittedly. But it was, like I said, I gave her really cheap rates and I was saving her in a crunch time where she needed her album to be recouped, like to be, revived. So we did all the songs. The second day she came for 3-4 hours. We mixed it all. She gave me half the money or something like that up front. And I'm like, yeah, when we finish, I need the second half. It was like $250. I get that for a few hours now. Back then, we recorded for like anywhere from like 12 to 16 hours, and I mixed her album for like $250. You know what I'm saying? It was like pennies for what this kind of work is really worth. Nowadays, that's gonna cost you like almost a couple $1,000s to do that with me now. But back then it was much cheaper because I couldn't really demand. I didn't have no name. Nobody knew who I was. I didn't have no clientele. I was desperate. Not so much anymore. But to get to the end of the story, she went home and was like, my Cash App is not working. When she was sitting right here next to me, she's like, my Cash App is not working or something like that. Like, I can't send it to you. I don't got it on my Cash App. I'm gonna have somebody else send it to me. So she left. I didn't send her songs. I'm like, I ain't gonna send her songs until she give me my money. She goes home and we texting. She like, send me the songs. And I send her like all but one song. I think it was like anywhere from 7 to 10 songs, something like that. It wasn't a whole lot of songs, but I think it was like 7, 8 songs. I ended up sending her all the songs except the last one. And then I'm like, you got to give me the money before I send you this last one. We texted. And she's like, I'm going to send it to you in a second. I got somebody sending it right now. Just send me the last song so I can hear it. I'm like, all right, I'm a sucker. I send her the last song. And then she ghosted me. Never sent me the money, right? Now, this is me learning my lessons as an engineer and as a business owner. You never give up your product until you get paid. So this leads into the conversation about why maybe I require deposits and why I tell people they got to pay for their blocks up front and why you got to pay for your mixes before I even touch them. I've had people be like, why would I pay you before you finish the mix? Why would I pay you? Why would I pay you more than just half? Or why would I pay you the full amount before I get there? Why do I got to do that? And I tell them, look, I'm not telling you what to do, but these are my policies and I have my reasons. So you're either going to do that or you're going to go find someone else to do it. And I've had people be like, all right, peace. I would love to have your money. I would love to take your money and work with you. But I can't, after all the things that I've been through. These are just a couple of stories that I'm telling out of the dozens and dozens of things that I've been through as an engineer. Some of them recent, some of them a long time ago. But as you get skin in the game and you learn these things, you start figuring out how to protect yourself as a business owner and as a party in this exchange. You're in the exchange as you got things on the line. If you're getting paid for a service, you need to protect your part of the exchange. So that's why I require you to pay all $400 of those dollars for a 10-hour block before I even see your face. Some people I give more leeway and lenience to because of our relationship. But especially if I don't know you for real, I never worked with you, we have no history, you have not built any trust with me, I need that bread before I even see you. Because I've had too many people pull fast ones on me. Now, for that story I just told, I ended up getting my money. She shorted me. She didn't short me a lot. I charged her like $250 for the whole thing. I think she ended up giving me like $180 or like $200 of it. But she ghosted on the other $50 or $70 or whatever it was. But at the time, I still want all of my money today. But at the time, that was like a good amount of money because like I'm broke as hell. $50 is like food for a couple days or some groceries for a few days, you know what I'm saying? I can get a lot of hot and readies with $50, you know what I'm saying? Especially when we poor as hell at the crib. Yes. I was broke as hell 4 years ago. 5 years ago. I was going through a very rough time in my life as an adult. So I ended up getting my money. She ended up hitting me up later, like, can I get the clean versions and the instrumentals or whatever she said to these songs? She just hit me up casually like she didn't ghost me for that money. I'm like, nope, you can't. I'm like, you still owe me X amount of money. She like, no, I don't. I paid you. I gave you that money. I paid you everything. I didn't even argue with her. I didn't go back and forth in the text. I just went to my Cash App casually, went to her name, screenshotted it, and then sent her the picture and didn't say nothing. And waited. And she responded like, oh, damn, I thought I paid you that. Like, no, bitch, you didn't think you paid me that. You know you didn't pay me that, which is precisely why you stopped responding to my phone calls and texts, because you was trying to get by. But let me just throw this into this episode too. Why destroy a relationship and sully your name too over $50? I think I'm somebody good to have in your corner. For the people that have me in their corner, they know that. Why destroy it? But she might have not have known that because she had only worked with me for those couple days. It's not like she really knew what kind of value I brung. I mean, I displayed some of it, but she didn't really know me for real. But regardless, why even destroy the opportunity of finding out if I'm a good person to have in your corner over something like $50 or $70? Why be a sleazebag, a slime ball, and do something like that to a person that had your back? Why? Why would you do that? So for the niggas watching this episode that work with me, this is why I take every precaution that I can within reason to get my money when I need it. And I deal with y'all with caution and skepticism because I've been through and seen a lot of shit. And these are just a couple stories out of a lot of things that I've seen. I've had niggas come into the studio and try to talk themselves out of the bill. Like, come on, man, what can you do for me? I had a nigga sit right behind me, 2 feet behind me in a chair. I had only worked with him this one time. This is the first time I had ever worked with this nigga. He's sitting in the chair, like, come on, man, what can you do for me? I see you charge X amount of dollars per hour. What? Like, how much can you not take off of me? Why do you think I made a price to take some off for you? I don't know you, nigga. This is your first time coming to the studio, and you asking me for a discount already. I don't know you. I don't have a relationship with you. You have not built trust with me. You have not built equity in the relationship with me. I don't even know if I like your music yet. And for this particular person, I didn't like his music. That's not the really deciding factor whether or not I'm willing to give somebody a break. But like, what makes you think, on what foundation am I about to give you a discount for? People be trying to be, they're opportunists. People try to prey on me because they assume that I'm weak because I'm quiet. People come into the studio and I don't really say much. So they're like, oh, this nigga fool. They either take it like that or they take it like I'm funny acting. And I'm fine with both of those. You could think I'm weak because what's gonna happen to you is you're going to bump up against me trying to find out if I'm weak, and then you're gonna get your feelings hurt. Because I'm not weak. I've been through a lot of things. And my personality it's in a shell. A lot of people don't know the full lengths and the extents of my personality and my, like, who I really am. A lot of people don't know that, especially the people that I work with, like, music-wise. A lot of people have no reason to know that, but a lot of people's interactions with me are just like, well, he real quiet, so maybe he's a pushover, or maybe he's soft. And then, I'm pretty forgiving and I could take a lot of shit. I let people get away with things for the sake of, like, being a good engineer, accommodating business owner and things like that. I let people get away with certain things, but you get to a certain point and, I don't have no love and no sympathy for you. I used to record with my shotgun sitting right here. I don't say much, but my shotgun is loaded and ready to go right next to my desk. I don't do that anymore because I don't really work with the type of clientele I used to, and I had to curate that over time. But that leads me to my next point, safety. I'll tell you one thing I hate as an engineer. I hate it when you niggas bring 30,000 people to this studio session because you want to turn this into a party. I've never agreed with that. I don't like it as an engineer. I didn't like it as an artist. I used to record at this one studio that will remain nameless. And they had kind of like an open door policy in that studio. And boy, did I fucking hate it. I used to be in there working. Me and my homeboy Harden was sitting in the studio one day, we was going through beats and we was kind of like mapping out what we was about to work on. And niggas just start walking in. And I'm like, this is not the type of studio etiquette that I grew up in this music shit with. I'm not familiar with this. Niggas just walking in your session and like sitting down and like rolling up in your session. Like I'm looking at this nigga like who is this? But this is the type of atmosphere, the environment that they had set in this particular studio. I did not like that shit. I didn't like it. Because to me, music is intimate and it's private. I don't know you, nigga. I'm not the type of person to just be making music with niggas just walking in and out this bitch and it's like 15 niggas in the hallway and shit like that. So now as an engineer, what you have to understand is it's just me, bro. It's just me. I'm by myself with my back turned to the whole room. This is my desk. This is my desk. I'm like this, recording your song. The couch is right here. The couch is over there. The couch is right there. Then there's behind the camera. There's another room with another couple couches, some chairs. There's a chair here to my right. You know, but I'm like this for hours at a time. I got people sitting behind me, to my left, to my right. I got people in the booth. Not only am I introverted, because I don't like it for the introverted reasons too. Like, I don't like being around that many people. But logically, why would I want to be surrounded by 15 strangers? Why would I want that? You ask yourself that. Why would I want to be surrounded by 15 niggas with guns that I don't know? Now, that's not to say that I'm scared of none of you niggas, because that's not the problem. The problem is, whether I'm scared or not, I can still get my brains blown out. Let me point something out. In 2018, January, was it January? Yeah, 2018. It was either January 1st or it was December 31st, New Year's Eve of 2017. One of those days. There was a studio in Redford, Michigan. There's a studio. There was like, obviously probably a studio session like for New Year's Eve on some party shit. An engineer in the studio gets killed during a session. Ironically, New Year's Day of this year, 2023, I'm sitting with my girlfriend in her house on New Year's Day. She's on her phone and she's like, oh, damn. Like she was sad about something. I'm like, what? This guy that I know, he's an engineer. He got killed in a session last night. And they trying to find out who the session was booked with or who was in the studio with the artist because they don't know who it was. You know how many engineers that I've heard of being killed by niggas in the studio or getting into fights? The engineer that I call my mentor that works in Atlanta with very big artists now, but back when he was working with these hood niggas, he told me he had niggas pull guns on him and threaten him because they wanted free work. Look, bro, I never been through that. But I'm going to tell you, I will blow one of these niggas' heads off in a heartbeat. Do you understand? I will blow your head off. And if I can't blow your head off, you would just have to kill me. I don't want it to come to that. Do you understand what I'm saying? I don't want to be in an environment where I even have to consider killing a nigga that's in my studio or a nigga killing me. Why would I want to be in a studio surrounded by 15 niggas on pills, lean, weed, with these little cheap-ass Glocks in their pocket with no safeties on them, all trying to have a dick swinging contest with each other about who the toughest or who the highest or who killed that many niggas or who rep they hood the hardest, and I'm just at the desk trying to make some money to feed my kids. I don't know y'all niggas, and I don't give a fuck about none of that shit that I just mentioned. I don't care about none of that. Why would I want to be in that environment? I don't mind working with hood niggas. I love hood niggas. You know, if I like you. But you know what I mean? People I done had in the studio that I don't like and I don't want to be around again. I'm just being honest. If I work with you, if you can hit me up and get a session from me, it says a lot. Because there's plenty of niggas that hit me up and can't get a session from me. I don't want to work with you. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want your money. I don't want to see you. I don't like your music. There's plenty of niggas that can't hit me up for a session today. If you can hit me up and get a response and get in the studio and like you can come here and record, I'm telling you right now, that's because I chose you and I fuck with you. Not because I'm desperate, because today I have hella clients. I know a lot of people. I know hundreds of artists. I only like working with a select few of them. You know, if you can work with me, that means I fuck with you. If you can get in this studio in 2023 or 2022, that means I fuck with you. Or even 2021. Because at those years, these last few years in particular, I've worked myself into a place where I can be picky and choosy about who come in here. Because I make so much money now, I don't have to take everything that come through the door. I have a steady stream of people that I like working with where I can still survive. I can make a lot more money if I just took everything that come through the door. But then it also goes into branding. Do I want my studio associated with everything that hits me up or come through the door? No, I don't. I want only artists that come in this motherfucker that make honest music and good music and whatever it is that I deem to be worthy of that, you know, being in this motherfucker, because this is my studio. If I let you in here, it means I fuck with you in some way. I either like you as a person, I like your music, I like your, you know, I gotta like you as a person. That's a given. If you're in here, I fuck with you on some level. I don't even necessarily have to like your music, but I have to like you. I've worked with niggas that I don't really like their music, but I like them as a person, and that trumps everything for me. But as an engineer, I need to feel safe, and I also need to know that I don't gotta go to prison forever for killing one of you goofy niggas and then be tricked off the street, and now my kids is being raised by somebody else. I have to be careful about these things, but these are things that niggas don't think about. You know, I don't want you coming this motherfucker with 15 strangers. I don't. Now, if it's a lot of people and it's mostly people that I know, it's a totally different feeling. I'm not saying I'm totally adverse to crowds, because I've had plenty of fun sessions with people where there's a lot of people here. You know, it just depends on the way it's presented to me. One of the worst pet peeves that I have, is one, when niggas go to the door and just open the door and let people in here without telling me that they're about to do that. Because this is a house and it's my shit and it's my family shit. You can't just open my door and let anybody in this bitch without saying something. Like, where do y'all grow up to where you think that's okay? This is not your shit. This studio is not your shit. It's not yours. You're paying me to be here, but my rules still apply, bro. This is still my shit. This is still my family shit. You can't just go to the door and let 6 niggas in this bitch and I don't know nobody. And then the worst thing about that is they'll let all these niggas in without saying anything and then not even introduce them to me. Niggas come in and don't speak. How do you think that makes me feel as a nigga in the dark room by myself and a bunch of niggas walk in and they don't even have enough home training to say, "What's up, bro? My name is such and such," and say anything. "Oh, man, I like your studio, man. You know, I fucks with the space, bro. You know, make me know that you're not a fucking psychopath or something. Or make me know that you're not lining me up to rob me. That's all I want to know. You know, put me at ease. Why the fuck would you invite that many people in here and then not even have enough balls to tell these niggas, like, introduce yourself to this nigga? This is his shit. Where do y'all come from? I don't understand that That way of thinking where y'all niggas just walk into people's houses and then don't speak. It's a studio, but it's still a space that don't belong to you. That's all I'm saying. I don't understand niggas. Which is why I'm very selective about who come in here. Niggas come in here with pistols all the time. But if I know you, if we have a relationship, if we talk, if you respect me, if you respect my space, it's much easier for me to feel safe around that. Niggas be in here with guns all the time. I've had all kind of shit happen in here. I had a nigga fight his daughter in here. Yeah, like literally a nigga fought his daughter. Like they was in this bitch like about to tear this bitch up. And the baby mama was here too. Like she like, you, no, not the baby mama. The father's girlfriend was here. It wasn't her daughter, it was his daughter. But he wasn't really in her life like that. They end up getting into a fight in here. I done seen so much shit, bro, as an engineer. I'm gonna have to do a part 2 because there's so much more shit I want to talk about. But the point of this episode is I need niggas to understand, bro. Like, I have to protect myself, and that means getting my money, and that means making sure that I'm not in a room with my back turned to a room full of niggas that I don't know, and I don't know what their intentions are or what type of niggas they are. You inviting, I don't know who the fuck in here. These niggas could all be stick-up niggas. And I'm getting robbed. Here I am sitting in front of $20,000, $30,000 worth of equipment. It ain't no motherfucking police station in here. I'm by myself. Now, I am armed, but that's not enough to make me feel safe because I still got to get to my gun. It's on me, but I still got to get to it literally, physically. I got to get to that motherfucker. You behind me. You got the drop on me all day. I don't want to be around that shit with a bunch of niggas sitting behind me that ain't saying nothing, and that shit feel weird as hell. Niggas come in with ski masks on and they ain't talking. I don't like that shit. And I don't give a fuck how you feel about it. I'm gonna just be totally honest. Niggas need to realize what the fuck this look like on the other side of the table. You know what I'm saying? I'm not necessarily, like I said, I've never met a man that I'm afraid of. I don't know a nigga that I'm afraid of. But I'm also not stupid, and I know certain situations are more dangerous than others. So it ain't about who you bring. It's about what that shit is set up like when I'm in here. So yeah, consider that. I'm going to do a part 2 to this. I like this topic. There's so much other shit. Let me rattle off some of the other things I want to talk about. The dangers and safeties. Niggas getting killed in the studio. Talked about that. Mixing for artists. Niggas not understanding keys and pitch and octave. Building a clientele. I kind of talked about that a little bit, but I could talk more about that. Me sneaking in changes to songs because I'm like emotionally attached to songs and hoping that they won't notice. Closed session mixing and why I choose to do that. And certain terminologies that niggas just don't understand. Niggas being late. Comparing myself to other engineers and how that could really fuck with me and put me in a space that I don't need to be in mentally. Artists being know-it-alls and not really knowing shit about music for real. Yeah, we doing a part 2 to this for sure. Appreciate you for listening if you made it this far especially. Again, please hit the like, hit the subscribe, share this shit with anybody. I want to be heard. I want to be seen, but not for the reasons that you would think. I just want the word and the message to get out there. And I want to have a nice, healthy platform to be able to get these ideas and these discussions out there so people can hear them. I want to be heard and I want to be seen, real shit. So do me a favor, share this with as many people as you think would care to watch or listen. Thank you again for listening and clicking and whatever you do. Thank you so much. I really appreciate everybody. See you on the next episode, bro. This is Streams. My name is Red Karan. Engineer extraordinaire, artist, rapper, producer, all those things. Jack of all trades, master of none.
Cause life's a phony bitch. If age is just numbers, then why we fear time?
Reincarnation, maybe Haile Selassie this time. What incarnation? Maybe I'm a philosopher slime. They still talk shit about me, cut back your gossiping time. Dinosaurs down to the fossils, gray hair follicles now.